Now let's talk about algebraic properties. As you know, addition and multiplication have a property we call the commutative property. We can write the commutative property out like this. For addition, we say a plus b equals b plus a. To prove this, let's substitute the number 2 for a and the number 3 for b. 2 plus 3 equals 3 plus 2. Both sides equal 5, so we see that it's true. For multiplication, we say AB equals BA. Now, remember that when we put a coefficient and a variable together with no operator sign, it means multiplication. The same is true for putting together two variables. So AB really just means A times B, and BA means B times A. If we substitute the numbers 2 and 3 again, we see that 2 times 3 equals 3 times 2, and they're both 6. So this property has been proven true. When I talk about the commutative property, I usually say it doesn't matter if you flip the numbers around in addition or multiplication because you get the same answer. But it's very important to remember that this property doesn't apply to subtraction and division. It only applies to addition and multiplication. There's another cool property of addition and multiplication called the associative property. We can represent the associative property of addition and multiplication like this. For addition, we write it this way, and it's going to be probably more confusing for me to read it out. So just take a very close look at what's on the slide. I'll leave it there for a moment for you to really take it in and try and figure out what it might mean. Let's substitute in the numbers 2 and 3 for A and B, and we'll use the number 4 for C. So our expression, when we substitute in the numbers, looks like this. And maybe it's starting to make a little bit more sense to you now that we have some concrete numbers in there. So, following the order of operations, we're going to start from left to right, looking at our brackets first. So our simplified equation looks like this: 5 plus 4, because we did the 2 plus 3 first, because it's in brackets, equals 2 plus 7. And again, we have 7 because we did the 3 plus 4 first. Simplify that even further, and we have 9 equals 9. The equation balances, so we've proven that this associative property is true for addition. Now let's look at multiplication. We're going to write it out like this, and again, take a close look, and we'll substitute in those numbers 2, 3, and 4, and our equation now looks like this. Because remember, when we have two variables side by side with each other, it means the same as multiplication. So we're going to, on the left side of the equal sign, do our 3 times 4 first. On the right side of the equal sign, we'll do our 2 times 4 first. So now we have 2 bracket 12 equals 3 bracket 8. And again, just a reminder that when we have numbers beside each other or variables beside each other with no sign, it is telling us to multiply. So 2 bracket 12 means 2 times 12, and 3 bracket 8 means 3 times 8. If we simplify that again, we find both sides of the equal sign are 24. So we can see by substituting numbers here that the associative property also applies to multiplication. For the associative property, I usually remember that it doesn't matter what order you add or multiply in, the answer's always the same. So if you're adding and multiplying, you can add as many terms together as you like in any order, or you can multiply as many terms together as you like in any order, and the answer will always be the same. Finally, we have the distributive property, which combines multiplication with other operations. We can write it like this. Now, for the distributive property, we're going to distribute the multiplication over both the numbers inside the brackets. Let's use colors to make this a little bit easier to see. So if we make our B green and our C pink, now we're going to multiply A times B, and we're also going to multiply A times C, and then we're going to add both of those together because there's a plus sign inside the brackets there, B plus C. Okay, let's put it all together and simplify this expression. We're going to have to call on our understanding of algebraic properties in order to do this one. Our first step will be to use the distributive property to resolve what's inside the brackets, 2n minus 5. We're going to have to multiply 3 by 2n and then also by 5. And then we just have our constant term plus 5. We can't forget about it. We've got to keep it in our expression. So we have 3 times 2n minus 3 times 5 plus 5. Let's simplify those operations one more step. 3 times 2n makes 6n, and 3 times 5 makes 15. So we have 6n minus 15 plus 5. And we know how to add a negative and a positive integer together. And our final simplified version of this expression is 6n minus 10.